Our thanks to Gene Casares. And let's bring in HL Nancy Grace. She is in Provo, Utah, at the courthouse. Nice coat, Nancy Grace. Now, let me ask you something. As you sat there listening yesterday to the opening statements.
That's easy for you to say in your nice, warm studio in New York. Provo is cold.
I appreciate it.
You're from a courthouse.
I appreciate it. Thank you for doing it for us, Nancy. I appreciate it. Gift to follow. But let me ask you, as you watched the opening statements and heard the case get laid out on either side, what jumps out at you as we begin this trial?
Wow, let me tell you something. I learned so much sitting in the opening statements yesterday, and then they actually started with witnesses. This has been a long time coming. This case, and this is a problem for the state. I know you already know this. The case was first ruled natural causes, all right? But that medical examiner was not privy to the facts and information that we know now. Sadly, that doctor passed away with breast cancer. She never got a chance to review her case in light of all the new evidence. But this woman's daughters never gave up. They've got 8 children, 4 natural, 4 adopted. And just as an aside, the doctor, Dr. McNeil, tried to give back some of his adopted children from the Ukraine after his wife died. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just telling you, FYI. So here's what happened. She did not want a facelift. She's a beauty queen, a legitimate beauty queen, Miss Concord. He insisted after he started this most recent affair with Gypsy Willis that she get a facelift. They went for a consult. The doctor said, your blood pressure's too high. You can't have the facelift. She wanted to put it off. Her husband, Dr. McNeil, said, no, I've already paid for it. We're going to go forward as planned. Come on, please. So they have the facelift. She became so afraid of what he was giving her that she was trying to feel the bandages over her eyes to find out what he was giving her. Fast forward to the morning she died. Chris, they've got one of those, I call them a deep dish bathtubs, those you have to straddle and climb into. They had one of those. She was fully clothed, according to her 6-year-old daughter who found mommy dead, fully clothed in a bathtub, face up, hair going down the drain. Dr. Joshua Perper says cause of death, drowning. What was she doing pumped full of all those meds? There was Ambien, Valium, Phenagrin, a host, a Percocet. What was she doing fully dressed in the bathtub, pumped full of all those meds? That's not a heart attack. That's like me pushing you off the top of this parking garage and going, yeah, he had hardening of the arteries. That was a contributing factor.
And yet, Nancy Grace, you would, in your demonstration, your hypothetical there, you would have to be there at the parking garage with me. A big factor in this case is going to be as unsavory as you may find the doctor. The defense is alibi, the Latin adverb meaning in another place. They're going to argue he wasn't there the morning that she died.
Throwing some Latin on me this morning.
Sounds good. Sounds compelling. But what do you do with that as the prosecution?
Well, let me just punch a little hole in that really quickly, and I don't even know all the facts yet because they're coming out in the courtroom.
But that won't stop you.
His office was 2 minutes from his home. His health fair that he went to, where he insisted everybody take his picture there, was 3 minutes from the home. And the child's daycare and the child's school was about 4 minutes from the home. So another thing on the alibi is that his own defense places him at the home, finding the body with his daughter within the window of the time of death, 11:24 to 11:44. And he was on the phone with 911 at 11:46. He was there at the time they give at the time of death. That's not helping. And remember, quit talking to me about his unsavory character. I don't care if he's a nun or a priest or a virgin. All I care about is this murder?
Absolutely. The right question. And I have to tell you, Nancy Grace, this sets up as one of the most confounding stories of a trial that we've seen in some time because of all the factors of what was going on in the life and how his fingerprints are, figuratively all over her life and the decisions she was making. And yet, it comes down to this central question whether they can prove it. Now, interestingly, you just said that you don't care, who he is or a priest or whatever. But in the prosecutor's opening statement, he did. He seemed to paraphrase some Mormon theology there in setting out this idea of the case to the jury. What was that about?
Well, you know, everyone I've spoken to, because I'm extremely interested in the Mormon religion, everyone that I've spoken to here, be it the taxi driver, the guy at the front desk of the hotel, the screener in the courthouse, everybody is Mormon here. And I think that he was really focusing to his jury. That means he's a good lawyer. You know who your jury is, and you speak to them. And I think he did speak to them. And I just want to mention one more thing that I caught in the 911, and I haven't heard anybody point it out yet. He says, and he's a doctor, he says, my wife is under the water. She's in the water. I'm doing CPR. You can't do CPR in a deep dish bathtub while you're on the outside. He also pretended and told people he had cancer and MS, and he was too frail to lift her out. Turns out those cancer treatments were actually him going to Tucson to meet and sleep with his girlfriend. There was no cancer.
Nancy Grace, this is really some storyline. This is going to be some trial. Thank you for...
Come out here, Cuomo.
I would love to.
Come out here. You come out here and you sit with me in the 18-degree weather, okay? Get out of that toasty studio.
I will keep you warm. I am 220 pounds of blanket. Thank you very much for laying out the facts this morning. This case is one to watch. I look forward to the coverage on this one, Nancy.